Hello, everyone. Welcome to 34th episode of The Ruins of Warsaw. I'm Alexandra, and I'm the storyteller.
Hi, I'm Dolores, and I'm playing Janina of Clan Bruja.
Hi, my name is Faye, and I'm playing Beatrice Wozniak of Clan Malkavian.
And as always, we have partners acting as our keeper of the Elysium.
Welcome. Oh, good.
Sorry, I forgot to turn volume on my phone.
We're off to a good start.
Sorry about that. As you can see, it's chaos. But thank you so much for being here with us. And hopefully we won't have much more tech trouble. On the way. Not to delay things any longer. A quick recap. Last time, Bea and Janina accepted an invitation from Tzimisce and enter her villa, looking for Oscar, an anarch Malkavian. He was being held captive there. Tzimisce, who took quite a bit of interest in Bea, helping her develop her abilities and giving her perhaps a different perspective on her memory problems, as well as mentioning some things she could do for Bea to free her from some of the love she was feeling. But she also told them Oscar was a guest at her place, and he was free to come with them if he wanted to. But when Bea and Janina, accompanied by Isidore, went to speak with Oscar, who was shaped into a grotesque, twisted sculpture made out of his body, they learned that he felt at peace and did not want to leave. They also learned that Tzimisce, who invited them, was the sire of the man who killed Mara, who came in at some point during their visit, carrying a helpless human. And Janina almost lost her composure at the sight of him. But with some help from Bea, she managed to stay in control. And Isidore, the Bruja who accompanied them, also managed to stay in control. And the whole group left the house. However, without Oscar, they came from. And all rather disturbed by the experience and the things they've seen on the inside. It was too late to come back to Hotel. They spent the day in the garden shed that they previously secured from sunlight. And on the next night, they set out back toward the center of Warsaw. But on the way, they were intercepted by a stranger who introduced himself as Joachim Raffa, and after a bit of conversation, revealed himself to be a Tremere who, together with his sire, a broodmate, and a toreador who accompanied them, in hiding for the last few years and have been looking for the Camarilla. Bea and Janina invited them to their haven, from where they contacted the sheriff's office as well as Cornelia, the Ventro. And In the end, the group left with Cornelia to be introduced to the Camarilla, and Bea and Janina stayed at their haven on their own, able to relax a little bit after what they've experienced. And finally, you fell asleep. And as we pick up right now, Janina, you are as usually the first one to wake up. Did you lose your blood?
Not yet. I'm going to do it now.
Well, you can do this now then. How much do you have right now, Janina?
5.
5. So you managed to feed last night, and now you again feel like it probably would be a good idea to do this again. It's not overwhelming, but the thought is there. Find yourself thinking about Vita. And you have a moment to yourself.
I probably just go my usual to the window, look outside, glance at Bea, to check if she's having a nightmare or not, if she's like resting peacefully.
Is not resting peacefully. She is twisting in her sleep. Her face is in a grimace, and she doesn't quite scream, but seems to be in pain and shakes from time to time, quite strongly.
Okay, so I will probably sit next to her and wait for her to wake up. I don't want to forcefully wake her up, but I want to be there when she wakes up, so I just sit there and watch her with a lot of concern and worry.
What's on your mind? Is it just Bea and worry for her?
Well, I think at the moment, yes, because I'm here alone with her. There's no like Felicia who could calm her down, and I have a lot of like responsibility for her, and I'm afraid that if she's gonna wake up and she's not going to be well, it could cause some trouble. So I think at the moment I'm thinking about Bea.
And you sit there, looking at her, visibly twisting and twitching as she sleeps. Bea, you are running along a street, almost tripping over the rubble that's lying all along the pavement of the street. The air around you is filled with dark smoke. It bites your throat and makes your skin itch and almost burn. But you keep running, knowing you have to find somebody. You're not sure. Was it your mother? You think it was your mother, you're pretty sure. But you can't quite remember. But you know you have to find them. You have to find someone. So you are running. You're running in an opposite direction to all the other people on the street where the smoke is thicker. They are running away from something you're running towards. And as they run past you, none of them sparks your memory. And their bodies twist unnaturally as they run. Their skin peels off, revealing muscles and veins. And the smell of smoke in your nostrils mixes with the smell of blood. Your head starts hurting, but something still pulls you ahead, deeper into smoke and darkness. You are calling for your mother, the only one you remember, the only one you know you have to find. And as you shout, the hot ash in the air burns your throat. You feel the pain spreading all around your lungs and throat and mouth. and the sweet taste of blood, your own blood in your mouth as you keep calling and running and calling and tripping and getting back up and calling and running. And finally, your mother is there. She's reaching towards you, and her whole body is twisted in pain. As you come closer, wanting to get to her, trying to get over the rubble, get to her through the smoke, you see that her skin is cracking and some of the veins are coming out, and her body is twisting and bleeding. You run up to her, you force yourself to touch her, but she pushes you away and looks to you with anger. And in a pained voice, as she twists, she says, "It's you. You hurt me." And she pushes you away and you trip and fall backwards. And instead of hitting the ground, you just keep falling and falling deeper into smoke and darkness and deeper until you wake up.
Bea, are you okay?
I'll be okay. Bad dreams is all.
Was it about bombs again?
Maybe. There was... Mother... She pushed me away.
You still feel guilty about what happened with Felicia. It's natural to have dreams about the things that hurt you.
I brushed the tears from my cheeks, smearing blood.
Do you want to go back to the hotel?
Maybe. Do we have anything to... I grab my journal and start flipping through it. Oh gosh. Yes. I need to speak to Cornelia.
That's what I thought. Okay, I will let you prepare yourself and then we can go.
Thank you. Would you come with me while I give my report to her?
Of course.
I'm all right. I'm just worried I'm going to get something wrong.
Of course, I will accompany you. No problem.
Thank you.
Of course.
I'll go to the bathroom and wash my face and get ready.
And I wait for Bea to get ready.
So Bea, how are you feeling? What are you thinking about as you are getting ready?
Shaken. I'm feeling unsettled. And this sort of haunting image of Felicia's body twisted and cracking and the anger that she looks at me with. And I just feel shame and I'm just exhausted and my stomach is hurting and I've just woken up and I already just want to go back to sleep.
But you do get ready and soon you join Janina. And you are ready to go out.
I will quickly glance around our haven. But since I don't think there is anything I want to take back with us, then I will just lock the door behind us.
Okay. Is there anything specific you're looking for? Or
No, I don't think. I just think she would like to look. Maybe if there was like something, if maybe someone forgot something or just something.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything like that.
Then I will just lock the door behind us.
And you are outside. There is a little bit of fresh snow on the streets. Not very deep, just it must have snowed not long ago, maybe just before around sunset. You see some footprints in the snow already on the pavements, but not very many.
I think I'm gonna try to hunt if there is like opportunity for it on our way to the hotel.
Of course. So as you start heading towards Hotel Bristol, roll your wits and alertness with difficulty 7.
Four successes, 2 9s
4
and 2
successes.
7s.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no problem at all. So as you are approaching the Poniatowski Bridge, and you know, to the other side of the bridge from where your haven is, there is a settlement where Bea has few people she can reliably feed on, but you don't quite get there. But you are sort of looking around, and before you even get to the street that leads from the bridge, you notice young man carrying just a paper bag with can see a little bit of probably vodka bottle sticking out of it, but it doesn't look like he's been drinking necessarily yet. He is heading towards the river into a more wooded area. Looks like he's heading just towards the bank of the river.
Okay. So can I try to sneak up on him from behind?
Yes, absolutely.
I will probably before I go, I will turn to Bea and I will tell her my plan, so she stay alerted in case anyone was around. And I will look at her and I promise I will try to control myself. If not, you can throw stones at me.
Great. Oh.
Right. So with that comforting words, Janina, roll your dex and stealth. You can add your celerity to that pool as well.
I'll go grab a rock.
There will be a rock around, no problem.
Yeah, just in advance.
Sorry, what was the difficulty?
Difficulty 6. I'm going to roll for
I have
this guy.
the same amount of success as before. 2 7s and no, 3 9s and 1 7. So.
Okay, first success. Yeah, he doesn't notice you. So you sneak up on him and you can grab him and just bite into his neck. He doesn't even see you. He just goes limp in your arms, and you are strong enough to hold him in place as you are drinking. And you feel so much better the moment you start drinking. This annoying sensation is just gone. And you want to keep drinking, and it is so good and so fulfilling. And please roll your self-control. With difficulty 7 for this.
Oh, thankfully I have 3 successes. I have 2 9s and 7. That's like my favorite. Today I'm just rolling 9s and 7s.
I'll take it. I'll put the rock down.
Yeah. Okay. So it is.
I take on
feeling, and it's a wonderful taste, and you want to take more something, and you really want to take more, but you control yourself, and you stop when you know it's the safest. As you stop drinking, the man is still dazed and limp in your arms for a moment.
I will, since he's a young man, I'm just gonna let him go and step away. And
So you
turn
just
to
drop
Bea.
him to the ground.
like lightly.
Okay, so you
Not
put
like
him.
just
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
just lightly
you put
like
him on the
but,
ground.
but I'm not like taking wait for him to like get on his feet as I usually do, because he's a young man. He can deal with it.
Wow. Of
Then
course, you'll leave him there. You see that like the bottle he's been carrying kind of hit the ground, and there is a little bit of a puddle spilling around the paper bag now.
Then I turn to Bea and I smile at her and proudly walk back.
You walk back to Bea.
I'll quietly whisper, "Well done," but as we're walking away.
Yeah, of course,
Thanks.
you leave. You start walking towards the bridge, get onto the street, and start crossing the Vistula River. It doesn't take you very long to walk there, maybe around half an hour, a bit more. And you are in front of Hotel Bristol.
Shall we?
Yes.
Right. Head on in. Head up to the lounge.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as you head in, you see in the lobby, Daniel walking down the stairs where you're heading. He's walking alongside Elka, the Bruja Hound, and they don't see you quite yet. They seem to be engaged in conversation. They feel look quite relaxed with each other. She's smiling a little bit, not quite a happy smile. He's kind of shaking his head, and they are looking. They are walking towards you. And finally, Daniel turns away from Elka and sees you.
I wave
And
at him.
looks surprised at first, but then you see the relief in his face.
And I'm relieved too when I see him that he's fine.
They come up to you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Elka just says, "Good evening." Daniel looks, "Janina, I'm glad to see you back. I spoke briefly to Isidore yesterday.
Yeah. We are fine. Yes,
He looks at you. There is this intensity in his face now. But he sort of glances around, and there are quite a bit of people around in the cafe, some people with some luggage in the lobby. So he just looks you straight in the eye, Janina, and says, "I can't believe you did that."
I just shrug. It was okay. Everyone's fine.
He keeps staring at you. You see Elka put an arm, like just hand on his arm. He kind of shakes himself from it, looks to Elka, looks back to you. "Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. We need to talk later."
Of course.
"Will you be here for most of the night?"
I think I will. I don't think I have any other plans for now.
"We should be back." He looks to Elka. She kind of shrugs. He also shakes his head. "Well, it's gonna take how long it's gonna take, but we'll be back tonight, and if not,
Of course.
I might look for you at your haven if you're planning to go back there."
I don't know yet. So I'd be either here or there.
"Well,
shall we give you the number, and if you need to call to check where we are?"
All right.
Yeah, sure. Give me a number.
I'll write him out the phone number.
He takes the piece of paper, looks at it, shoves it in. He's like deep into his pocket. Elka gives you a little bit of a moment, but then she looks to Daniel and says, I don't particularly want to rush you, but we should get going if we want to safely get back.
Stay safe.
Yes. Take care.
Daniel,
Don't do anything stupid. Smile at him.
He looks to you and you see this moment of pure anger in his eyes and flashes there. And then he just sort of...
I love poking the bear.
I'll see you later.
Of course.
I give him an apologetic.
Okay.
I give him an apologetic look.
He just kind of shakes his head and he walks away with Elka, who puts again a hand on his arm, and he just keeps shaking his head as he's leaving. And you see him as they leave, starting to talk in a rather animated fashion.
Do you have to antagonize him quite so much?
Well, I'm not antagonizing him. I'm just trying to see how much he can take.
Why?
I don't know. Seems like fun.
You and I have very different definitions of the word fun.
I guess so. Okay, let's go to Cornelia. Maybe she will be in the lounge.
Head up.
So you head up towards the lounge, and
Open the door with slightly shaking hands.
before you do that,
as
you are walking along the corridor, and you're like very close to the lounge, like you just need to turn to the right, and it's the door there. You see Felicia.
Oh no!
From the opposite direction.
Has she seen us yet?
Yes.
Damn.
Well, you think so. You know, she is on the other side of the corridor. Yours kind of straight ahead of her. You can try to, like, hide.
No, I'm not going to actively try to hide, but I do kind of look down at my shoes.
I probably look slightly turned to Band. Do you want to talk to her, or should we avoid her? Should we pretend that we're not here, that we don't see her? Or
I don't feel that childish, to be honest.
Okay, I just asked.
That's fine.
Then straight up, chin up, and let's go.
I'll look up, although my head's still slightly tilted down, and carry on forward.
You see Felicia, and she is very elegant, as always, very put together again. She has her hair very neatly pinned up. She's carrying her little purse, walking rather straight, and she gives you a very wide smile. Bea, my dear, I haven't seen you for a while. Where have you been?
I'm sorry, Mother. I was helping Janina with an errand. Are you well?
Oh yes, I'm perfectly well. What kind of an errand was it? Janina, I hope you're not getting Bea into trouble.
No.
Well, I hope you two can judge for yourself. But Bea, you should have told me you were going away. I was wondering where you were.
I'm sorry, Mother.
You shouldn't go away like this without telling me.
I'll try to remember in future, Mother.
Please do. I would hate for something to happen to you.
Can I read her expression?
Absolutely. Perception and empathy.
Insight.
Yeah, you can use insightful.
Oh, whoops! I should be.
Difficulty is 6.
I have 2 successes.
You can't tell. You just see the smile.
Okay. I still don't feel 100% happy, but this is fine. I'll just politely stick with the conversation, still feeling shame and sadness. But I'll carry on sort of being polite and smiling.
And she does exactly the same. But she doesn't talk to you for very long. Almost after this last exchange, she goes and says, well, but now I have to rush off. I have some things to take care of. Don't walk away like that, please.
Yes, Mother.
I will see you later.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Be careful, girls. Don't get into any trouble. And she gives you a little wave and starts walking, not looking back at all.
When she's gone, I look at Bea. You okay?
By the way, Janina, would you want to roll perception and empathy?
Okay, why not? I'm standing there, and I think Janina is curious. I have 110, 6 to 7.
So 3 successes.
Yes.
Okay. So you do pick up on a little bit more underneath the smile. You do pick up on that there is some kind of urgency there. Like she wants Bea to be with her and heard there. And heard that like she is hurt and she wants to hurt Bea as well. But she also wants her close.
Okay, but I'm not gonna relate this to Bea because I don't want to hurt Bea more.
Great.
So I keep it to myself.
And you are left on your own. You're almost at the lounge, but not quite there yet.
My hands are shaking even more as I go to open the door.
So you open the door. You hear the music, piano music again, very sad melody. You see Bruno playing, as always, with no notes in front of him, just playing, and his ghoul at his side, looking at him with absolute admiration. You see, indeed, Cornelia, sitting near one of the tables to the side with Fabian, as she's been recently. And as you walk in, he is talking and she seems to be smiling and laughing at something. You see Leonard in there, who is sitting near Rahela, looking around from time to time, very stiff, sort of looking around and then trying to fix his gaze just on Bruno, and then looking around again. And Rahela very quietly saying something to him.
If he notices us, then I will smile at him.
You're not sure if he has. You think he looked at you. You're not sure if he registered your presence. He didn't respond in any way. You see Nastya is there. sitting in a corner reading the book, probably the one you brought her recently. You also see Conrad, whom you brought back to Camarilla yesterday, the Toreador, who is wearing a bit of a cleaner, well, he's wearing cleaner clothes now, but he's just sitting on his own, looking very lost. And you also see Dominique in his, well, covering his true form with a human face, listening to the music, swaying slightly as he does, his eyes closed. And you see Mikhail Orlov, who's usually there, who is at the moment talking to Zygmunt.
Yes, no other
Primogen. Well, he doesn't have to have one anymore. And they are conversing and laughing, him and Zygmunt.
I will lean over to Janina and very quietly say, if we speak to anyone, could you greet them by their name? I'm just worried I might not remember them.
Of course.
Thank you. Head further into the room.
You head further into the room. Is there anyone in particular you want to approach, or are you just waiting for someone to notice you?
I guess heading towards Cornelia, but not aiming to be noticeable by her.
All right. So she doesn't notice you immediately, but then you see Fabian point you out and say something to her, and she looks in your direction. And she smiles and puts an arm on Fabian's shoulder, leans a bit closer, says something. He makes a gesture, and you hear him say, "Of course, my dear. I'll wait, as I always do." And she stands up and comes up to you.
Good evening.
Good evening, Cornelia.
Miss Woźniak, Miss Siwak.
Yes.
Good evening. I was hoping to see you.
Yes. I came to give my report.
Of course. You will need to report to the Primogen. I will arrange that.
Perfect. Thank you.
She glances to Janina, and then she looks back to you, Bea. We could speak for a moment, if you don't mind.
Of course. That's fine. And I'll go with her, I guess.
Yeah, she starts walking towards the other door that you know leads towards some service corridors and offices. Janina, are you following or are you staying behind?
Well, I probably exchange glances with Bea if I should go also, because I don't want to like force myself. But if Bea wants me to go and be there, then I will go too.
Is Cornelia sort of implying that she wishes to speak to me privately?
Roll perception and etiquette.
Okay.
I wish I could roll these things in real life.
What was my difficulty?
6.
6. 2 successes.
You get the feeling that she wants to speak to you. Specifically, she isn't necessarily insistent on this being like one-on-one. You don't think she'll be offended necessarily by Janina coming along?
I think I'll leave it for now, and I'll just sort of give Janina a sort of nod of
And
that
I
she
will
can.
not. I will glance towards Nastya to tell Bea with my eyes that I'm gonna be with Nastya.
Okay, and I'll follow after Cornelia.
So you follow with Cornelia, and she leads you to the room where you spoke before. A very simple office, and offers you a small armchair to sit in. She takes another one.
I gingerly sat down in the chair.
Well, I know we spoke briefly yesterday, but a lot was happening.
Yes.
Once again, wants to express I am happy to see you back.
Thank you.
The Primogen will want to speak to you and learn what you've observed.
Of course, we saw a fair amount, and there's a slightly unhappy look on my face as I say that.
You see a bit of concern on her face, so I heard. That's why I just wanted to ask how you are. How are you coping?
Shaken, but I'll be all right. Just need a few nights of safety before I'll feel quite right again, I think.
Of course.
But thank you. And I give her a warm smile.
How are you coping overall? He only rejoined us fairly recently.
I mean, I've been keeping busy. It's easier when I'm busy. When I stop and think about things for too long, it starts to feel a little overwhelming.
Yes, I imagine it would. It's not easy being young among our kind. I remember that pretty well.
There's just been so much loss recently.
I wish I could tell you something different, but I'm afraid it is just part of our existence. And she shakes her head. I remember you. I don't quite know what to do and wondering who of the ones you are with on a daily basis is going to make it. I hope you will be one of those who do. I'd like to help you with that.
Thank you. And I'm slightly trying to compose myself because that means a lot. Thank you very much. And I don't want to be too forward, but I do appreciate you very much, and I feel the same way. You say with a little awkwardness of not being used to doing quite as much feelings talk.
She gives you a smile. We are in private. We don't have to be quite so formal here. Although it becomes a habit after a while.
It does.
If there is anything you wish to talk about, you can come to me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've just been thinking about those that I've lost. And I'm scared that I'm forgetting them.
I'm sorry. I remember your group, if that helps in any way. I didn't know them anywhere near as well as I'm sure you did. But I remember you were, after all, friends of my child.
What was he like?
He was, well, when you bring someone into this existence, you always wonder. Well, I suppose at some point you stop, but I did wonder. Was it right for him? But he did adjust pretty well, quicker than I expected. He was very composed, tried to hide his doubts even from me, as is expected, of course. He was a model, young kindred in many ways, although I know there was a more turmoil inside him than he let on, and he cared about you all very deeply. I know he saw it as his duty to keep you safe.
I think as she's talking, I'd like to spend a point of willpower and try to push my memory back to where the coterie, my old group. I've never really tried pushing back that far before, but I want to try. I'm a little scared that there's going to be nothing there, but I try anyway.
Then spend a point of willpower to push into your memories. And as you do that, you do remember their faces, vaguely, some of the details all blurred. But you remember Martin, Cornelia's child. You remember he was always very elegantly dressed, almost felt out of place in the city as the war started. And then he changed, clearly, having thought better of it and blended in a bit better. And you remember Cuba. You remember his much more scruffy demeanor. You remember the arguments he was involved in, although you don't quite remember the detail. You remember a woman, Kashka. You remember her pretty face. You remember her looking kind of distant, always thinking about something different. And you remember Arek and how impatient he was, and how he wanted something more and kept looking and always seemed restless. And if you want to remember more detail, you can roll wit and intelligence. Difficulty 8 I'm going to give you for that.
That's fair. I'm going to try. What's intelligence? And -1 because of penalties.
Yeah.
One success.
One success. What in particular are you interested in? What are you most trying to remember at this moment?
I think at this point I'm trying to remember Marcin as I'm speaking to Cornelia. More details about him.
So you remember Martin, you remember that he always, well, at first he was very taken aback by what all you could do, and You remember him looking not quite awkward, but you could look into him and see a bit of awkwardness underneath his demeanor, where he tried to be polite about it and relieve you, but he couldn't understand and he couldn't quite wrap his head around it. You remember him being a very down-to-earth man. You remember him always being on the lookout for what all of you needed. And you got together as a group of young neonates around the time war started, and Camarilla didn't scatter them yet. But there was a sense of danger. And he was very aware that something might go wrong and was trying to make you prepare for such possibility, and trying to keep your group together, sometimes pushing too hard and maybe dictating a little bit too much, which led to some conflicts. But you knew that he cared and he did it out of sense of responsibility and ties to you all.
As I'm thinking about this, my face just kind of it goes through a series of emotions as I suddenly recall him. And then just this bubbling feeling of pain and this aching grief of a friend that I haven't dealt with, I haven't processed it, just comes bubbling up to the surface, and I'm just suddenly sitting with my face in my hands and just crying.
And Cornelia, she doesn't quite come to hug you, but she leans a bit closer to you and says, "Don't worry about it. No one will see you here like this. I won't tell anyone."
Thank you. I can still remember him. I can see him now. Thank you.
I'm glad.
He deserved so much better.
He really did.
Thank you. I'm going to take a moment to compose myself.
She's looking to you, she's saying, "I think it might take a little bit of time before Primogen can see you. Take some time to, well, whatever would help you rest."
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just want you to know that you can come to me.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And if you ever need anything, you can also come to me.
Thank you.
Give her a slightly watery smile. But a genuine one. I'll sit there for a little while longer, just trying to compose myself.
And you sit there for a bit in silence. She's not rushing you in any way. She just smiles at you, and it's also a genuine smile, although you see her keeping her composure pretty well apart from that. Meanwhile, Janina, you see Bea walks away with Cornelia disappearing into the corridor that leads to various offices that some kindred have in Hotel Bristol. And you were looking at Nastia.
Yes, and I will come towards her.
Yeah. So you start walking towards Nastia, and as you do, you don't quite walk past, but you do over here. Mihail, talk to Zygmunt, and you catch the name of Isidore in the conversation. And
gossip ears on.
Do you turn your gossip ears on? Okay. Okay. So you do hear that Mihail is saying, well, you kind of catch from the context that they are talking by some novel by Dostoevsky. And Mihail, Isidore is exactly like him. You can't possibly deny this. And Zygmunt just shakes his head, but with a smile. My dear friend, you don't care to distinguish between the revolutionary movements in your own country. And Mihail, well, I am familiar with the variety, but in practice they're all the same. It's love of chaos. Their ideals always in the end get lost in some incoherent shouting. I mean, what kind of was that? The worse the better? What kind of argument even is that? And Zygmunt just smiles. Well, it's not the one Isidore would make, I can assure you of that. Mihail smiles even wider. Well, I don't know. Consider this. Don't you think Isidore would love it if we actually put neonates in chains, if that would convince them to join his cause and flock to him in his misguided adventures? And Zygmunt just laughs at that, and it's quite a joyous laugh. But he's shaking his head. Oh no, that's Zoya you're thinking about. At which Mihail also laughs. Touché, my friend, touché. And you hear Zygmunt continue. Isidore, well, if I was to compare Isidore to somebody, I think it would be Cordian in a way. You know, he could be a step from stopping a perpetrator of great evil and still somehow fail, hesitates, in his case due to his conscience. And you hear them move on to discussion of romantic, the figure of like a romantic hero in Polish literature and revolutionary movements.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, well, at least they're enjoying themselves.
Now we know what elders get up to.
And I walk past them to Nastya.
So having gathered some gossip, you come up to Nastya.
Yeah, wait for Mikhail's fan fiction.
Who seems very lost in reading. And she notices you as you are approaching. Looks a little bit startled, but she gives you a smile. Janina.
Can I join you for a moment?
Of course.
And I sit next to her.
You see how she closes her book, but she kind of keeps her finger.
Is it the same
at the
book
place in the pages? It's the book you brought her from Zygmunt's place.
And I smile at her and I glance towards the book. Is it good?
It's interesting. I admit I don't quite understand everything. I'm not that good with physiology, and it's still...
What is it about?
It's about conditioned reflexes and State of Hypnosis. It's a collection of writings by Ivan Pavlov.
Inside of my head, I think this is the book that she was so emotional about.
Earlier, Intelligence and Medicine. But I think with difficulty 8, because it's not necessarily something you would have come across.
Do I even have intelligence? Where is it?
Yes, you do. It's in attributes, mental attributes.
I have it.
I mean, supposedly Janina has intelligence.
8, you said?
8, yeah.
I have 1 success. I have 1 10.
1 success. So you recognize Pavlov as a Russian physiologist and dealing with neurology primarily, but you don't really remember the details. It wasn't really something you were dealing with in your daily practice at all.
Okay, then I will just continue like small talk.
And she says it's interesting. Well,
is it a personal interest of yours?
Yes, it is. But the Primogen mentioned he would like me to help you with something.
Oh yes, maybe later when I'm done, because I think Bea will need me to go to see the Venture Primogen with her. But later, maybe I could. She's a fancy girl. Trying to be.
Seems you are as well.
Oh no, I'm just tagging along. I'm not as good as Bea at completing tasks with grace and politeness required for such a job.
Wow, the politeness part I can believe.
Yeah, but
good. I'm sure you're better at some things than she is.
Well, maybe at holding people because I'm stronger, but that's like about it. But what I wanted to say was that when we are done, maybe I could, if you are going to be here, I could grab you and we could go to our room or to Zygmunt's place. But I have the books and papers that I got from him that I can't read because they are in foreign languages.
Yes, he mentioned. I should be able to help you with that. I think we can stay here. We don't need to go. He's here anyway. And she kind of looks towards Zygmunt.
Yeah, I chuckle a bit when I look towards them.
They're still deep in conversation. They seem to be talking about poetry now. You only hear bits and pieces.
Nastya, what about that thing that Bea said? Are you alright? Is nothing strange happening around you?
Yes, it's all right. I'm not quite sure what this is about. Well, perception and empathy.
Okay. What is the difficulty?
6.
Okay, so 3 successes.
All right. So you do actually notice that there is something wrong, but she maybe doesn't feel quite comfortable saying it, or doesn't quite know how to express it. So she just defaults to reassuring you that it's okay.
I just nod, but I make a mental note, and when we are alone, I will ask her again about it when we are somewhere more comfortable. But then I just chit-chat with her.
You chit-chat with her. She asks you how you are. She asks you a little bit of questions about the human nervous system, which you can mostly answer.
Janina can, I can't.
No, Janina can. It's not, I think, Janina's specialty. She got one success, so it's not that she can explain everything. But she has an easier time understanding some of the things Nastya reads to her. So you are sort of helping her, and she's smiling at you. How are you feeling talking to her?
I feel comfortable. I like her presence. She's pleasant to be around. Very sweet, nice. I have very warm feelings towards her. And I like that she's a bit shy and awkward. I think it's like cute.
Yeah. And you're chit-chatting in a corner. Ignored by most people and ignoring most people in turn. Bea, you compose yourself after a few minutes. Cornelia is waiting.
Right. Okay. I think I should be good to return now. Thank you again.
Don't worry about it. I will go inquire with the Primogen.
Perfect. I'll stay in the lounge if that's all right.
Of course, I'll find you there.
Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.
Gives you a smile and walks off, and you can return to the lounge.
Enter in, look around. I'll maybe walk over to Rahela and Leonard.
You would have noticed Janina talking to Nastya in the very corner on the other side of the room. But you walk to Rahela and Leonard.
I'll give Janina a smile as I walk over, but just go and join them.
Join them. Rahela smiles at you. Hi. Good to see you again.
Thank you. It's good to see you too. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Trying to, make Leonard feel more at home. Since, we're trying how he feels in here.
That's
and
fair.
Leonard sort of turns to you both.
Good evening.
And he looks to you. Beatrice, I
Leonard.
can still smell blood on you.
Yes, I imagine that'll take a little while to wear off.
You see him, his eyes are sort of darting to bits of the room with a little bit of anxiety, and he's very tense. He's looking to Rahela. He's looking to you. Roll wit and empathy for this one. With difficulty 7.
Okay. I have 2 successes.
2 successes. So you would pick up that he is looking with anxiety to all the places that have a little bit of shadow, like in the corner, underneath the piano, underneath some table, and it seems like it just bothers him and tugs at him all the time, and he can't quite relax, and he wants to avoid it, but he's also like instinctively checking if it's still there.
I'll lean forward and very quietly whisper to him, do you want me to try to numb things if it'll make it easier?
No, I prefer to stay alert. You must see it. Have you seen it? The darkness is already here.
That feels right.
Others don't see it. Rahela can see it. And she just shakes her head. It's just a tiny, tiny fragment. It's almost transparent, almost invisible, but it's there. I know it's in here.
In here?
In close.
I pick up my notebook and start hurriedly going through it, looking for references to the darkness.
You would have had references to the darkness in what Leonard spoke of before when you met him, and some of the visions and insights you've had. Not here, though, as such.
Okay.
From what I remember.
Was there something to do with a hooded figure that I got from when I was in the Primogen's office?
Yes. There was a figure. In a robe. Reaching towards something in the hotel.
Okay. They're looking for something shiny? An idea? I don't know, something in here.
The visionary.
The visionary.
Snuff out the light.
I look around the room, looking for, almost looking for this visionary instinctively. And I'd like to activate Eyes of Chaos, focusing on this visionary.
Roll perception and occult, I believe it is.
-1 dice. Sorry, I will be.
Yeah.
I'm occasionally remembering penalties.
It's going to be difficulty 8, I think, because you are not focusing on anything specific.
That's
it's
fair.
Just sort of trying to pick up on something.
Okay. Okay, I have an 8 and a 10.
You have an 8 and a 10. So, you on an 8 and a 10, you do see a fragment of darkness kind of creeping around the wall. And you see it wrap itself not around, but like over Nastya and around, and then you see it re-emerge somewhere different on the other side of the room, around where Mihail and Zygmunt are sitting, and circle there. And it's gone.
I hurriedly scribbled it down in my notebook and then looked at Leonard with a sort of, are you seeing this? Not quite, but yes, I see it.
They won't believe you.
Someone has to. Try to make them see. Maybe not them specifically, but someone.
And then he sort of almost zones out for a moment as he's looking to you. And glances around and looks at you. You should be more scared than you are of what's been offered to you. Love can be twisted if it seems freer and truer. Beware it, and beware the freedom. It's not what it seems. It comes with its own chains. It always does.
I write that down as well. Thank you.
And then he sort of looks at you. Did I say something?
I think you gave me some insights. Thank you.
I'm sorry,
You've nothing to apologize for. I understand. And I give him a smile.
He smiles, but very faintly. He looks to Rahela. I think I'd like to go now. They're not going to believe us anyway. And she just shakes her head. No, they hardly ever do. She glances to you, but you must know that by now.
Yes. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't try.
I suppose not.
Well, you both take care of yourselves. And I give them a smile.
Be careful.
I'll try.
We really need to be.
Yes. Yes, we do. And then I'll head over to join Nastya and Janina.
You join them, you hear them talking about some medical stuff. Nastya smiles at you. Hi.
Hi. It's good to see you.
Hey.
How are you getting on?
Good. What about the Primogen? Gonna see us soon?
Nastya has just, Cornelia has just gone to inquire. We'll find out shortly.
Right.
You two being very smart, I say with a smile.
I look at Nastya. She's smart. I'm just going along the ride.
You shouldn't underestimate yourself like that. You understand much more of this than I do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I smile, but it's not very convincing.
How do you feel about that, Janina? Do you feel like you're not smart enough?
Well, I don't think that I'm not smart, but I think that Zygmunt and Nastya are out of my league. Like Zygmunt, when he introduced me to Nastya, and that we are going a lot like in common to talk about, and she's like this smart, educated person, and I feel like in comparison to her, I'm not smart.
She does seem very intelligent when you talk to her, but you are not, not smart yourself.
I know, I just feel like very different, smart.
Nastya is sort of smiling shyly now that Bea joined you.
Don't let me interrupt. And I'll turn back to my journal, continuing to make notes and occasionally glancing around the room looking a little worried.
And you, Janina, as I understand, go back to the conversation with Nastya.
Yes.
And I think this is a good moment to take a bit of a break. Minutes. Thank you all so much for watching us. We hope you enjoyed it. And please stay with us. We will be back after this short break.
Bye.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us to continue the story of Bea and Janina. You two have been sitting, talking to Nastya. I imagine Janina doing more of the talking. Bea listening. Writing in your diary, you said. A little bit of time passes like that. You were drawn in a conversation. Is there anything else in particular, Janina, you want to talk about with Nastya here right now?
Here right now, probably not. I just try to keep it like civil and polite and not too personal. So people like Mikhail couldn't listen in.
So you are mostly ending up talking about various scientific pursuits. She does ask you a little bit about what you've been doing, so you can share about your work as a nurse and your experience, if you want to, if you would.
I probably would like told her about what exactly that I did, like how I helped people and the medical procedures that I was able to do. Probably something like that.
And she listens and she's curious. She asks some questions about how you do some things. So she's generally curious about everything you're telling her. Yeah, what are you thinking about? As you're just listening, what's in your head, what's inside you?
I think I'm zoning out from the conversation because I presume there's a lot of medical language.
Yes, you don't really understand what they're talking about.
No, I don't.
For the most part.
No, that's fine. I'm also really concerned with everything that I've just learned from Leonard and other insights. So, yeah, I'm mostly focusing on the darkness and this creeping darkness leaning over Sigmund and Nastya. And I've made a note to myself to tell Janina and the Primogen if I can get a moment.
And some time passes like that. And eventually Cornelia comes towards you. Miss Wozniak.
Yes.
The Primogen will see you now.
Thank you.
You can come as well, Miss Shivek, if you'd like.
Of course. Thank you.
Stand up and follow her.
I nod to Nastya and say goodbye to her.
You might have to wait a little bit, but
of course.
He told me to bring you. He'll call you in.
Of course.
And she leads you past the office where you just spoke with her and up a staircase. And then to the corridor. And you see one person already sitting there, and you see that it is Joachim, also wearing cleaner, but kind of less thought out clothing, as if he changed into whatever when he arrived here. Cornelia nods to you. Please wait with him. The Primogen will call you shortly.
Of course.
I have to return downstairs.
Take care and have a pleasant evening.
You too. And she turns around and she leaves.
Turn and smile at the man whose face seems faintly familiar.
Faintly familiar.
I whisper to Bea, Joachim.
I slightly nod. Good evening.
He gives you a wild smile. Hello.
Good evening.
How are you, Janina? Any more stories to share?
Not right now. Maybe later. And I smiled at him.
I glance a little curiously at that.
And you, Bea, how are you?
I'm
You
fine.
seem somewhat tired.
That's obvious, huh? I'm all right. Just don't sleep very well.
Sorry to hear that.
It is what it is. And how are you? How are you settling in?
It's strange. Doesn't really feel much different, but I suppose it takes a while to get used to not being in immediate constant danger. Just constant but less immediate one, I suppose.
What about
Absolutely.
your sire?
What about him?
Is he settled in nicely?
As far as I can tell,
Good.
I imagine similar for him. We've had, well, quite difficult few years.
Of course.
Have you met with Eliza already?
I haven't. I know my sire spoke with her briefly.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll find her somewhere at some point. So, important meeting for you.
Just giving a report, I suppose. So, just
Still, not everyone gets to report to the Primogen.
no. We've been fortunate. So, give him a polite smile.
He smiles at you. He seems quite relaxed. Observing you. Not like intrusively so,
No.
but with curiosity.
I'm also observing him with a bit of curiosity.
Janina observes both of them with a curiosity.
Curious
company.
stares all around.
Definitely. And indeed, not long after, just a few minutes, you hear a voice calling, Miss Wojniak, please come in.
Yes, of course.
I follow the bell.
Is it the Primogen himself?
Yes.
Sir, would you mind if I brought Miss Shivak in with me? Just so she can corroborate some of what I have to say.
I'm guessing you open the door a bit.
Yes, yes. I'm not just yelling. Sorry, I thought he was standing at the door.
Yeah, no. Okay. So he says, of course.
And I'll hold the door open for Janina.
Okay.
Miss Shivak, welcome.
Good evening, sir.
And you see Stanisław Lubomirski, the venture Primogen, sitting in an armchair, quite relaxed, as always. Has his grey, silvery hair arranged very carefully, perfectly combed, wearing an elegant grey suit. And next to him, in another armchair, there's Edwin, whom you've met last night. Joachim's sire, who also is wearing very simple but cleaner clothes right now. Just a white shirt and a blazer over it. And he's sitting in another armchair and he looks to you as you enter and nods his head towards you. The Primogen gestures to another chairs are nearby. There is one armchair and there is one chair that is maybe not quite so fancy. You get the feeling that weren't quite expecting necessarily Janina to come.
That's fair.
But she can easily sit in one of the other chairs in the room.
I need to bring my emotional support brew home.
I probably just maybe stand next to Bea. I don't have to sit.
Fair enough. I look at you a little strangely, but don't say anything.
And the Primogen says, "It's good to see you again, Miss Wojciak.
Thank you.
Miss Shivak. I'm glad you returned safely from your escapade. I've been talking to Mr. Sarnowski here and heard you were guests of Tzimisce.
Yes, sir.
We would like to learn of what you've learned from that visit."
Of course, sir. And I will focus and push through my foggy memories for a second time this evening, but this time about that house and the lead up to it. And
that's a point of willpower, but it
Yeah.
returns. How do you feel when it returns?
oh, unhappy. There's a slight gritting of my teeth and some discomfort. That unsettled feeling, which was already sort of lingering, suddenly feels twofold. And the memories of the things that we saw in that house leave my hands trembling a bit more than they were before. Sir, something I should mention before I go any further is it will become relevant to what I'm about to say shortly. I've been meaning to explain to you some of the difficulties that I face.
Of course, I spoke briefly to Cornelia. She mentioned.
Very well. In which case, I'll just carry on.
I just want to assure you this won't have any impact on our relationship. I believe you've been doing your job very well, and I am very pleased with your performance.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Then I take a moment to steady myself, and I will explain to him everything that happened, including the conversation that happened in my head.
All right.
There's obvious discomfort as I mention it, but I say it anyway. And there's clearly that unsettled feeling following me.
So, just to get a little bit more of a picture,
Mm-hmm.
The things he would ask you specifically
Mm-hmm.
is, why do you think you were both invited?
I will express that she spoke to me in my head throughout most of this and expressed an interest in my particular way of thinking and the way that my lineage affects me. And that she did she seemed to almost try to tempt me to, I don't know, go to her. And I'll also mention the fact that she clearly invited us in with this gesture of, oh, he can leave with you if he wants to, but she clearly knew all along that he had no wish to go with us. So it feels more like that was a front for the conversation.
He listens when you mention that it was tempting.
I don't necessarily quite say it like that. What I will say is that she sounded incredibly reasonable, and then we walked into her studio and it sounded an awful lot less reasonable once we saw that.
In this case, he would comment saying, as I see you are still very perceptive. That is often the case with the fiends. They seem reasonable and civilized until you get to know them a bit better and realize they are so far removed from any semblance of civility that it seems, well, almost incredible anyone could stray quite that far.
Yes, sir. I say, thinking of the gentleman skinning a man in the back corner of the room.
Janina, do you wish to add anything?
I probably only add some, maybe, if like to expand on maybe like visuals that I think like Bea didn't describe in vivid detail enough.
Mm-hmm. You seem listening, and you notice Edwin looking to you as you describe those details and very attentively listen to everything you're saying. You describe what happened, I imagine.
Yes.
I imagine you name all the people, describe all the people you've seen in there.
Yes, I'll also mention that one of her servants referred to her as Voivod. I don't think it was a name, because they spoke to her too respectfully to name her. It seemed more like a title.
Roll your intelligence and academics.
Okay. Just my intelligence then.
You can as well, Janina, if you wish. The difficulty would be 7 for that.
Okay.
Oh, well, I've got 2 10s and a 9, apparently, so...
What was it? Academics and intelligence?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the difficulty?
7.
I have nothing.
You have no clue. You don't know what this means. It's some weird word. You don't know. But you would strangely recall that it is indeed a title. You don't know the specific context here, but from somewhere in your memory there comes out a fact that it used to be a title, voivod, meaning military leader. Back in centuries back in Poland.
Okay. In which case, I will also relay that.
I roll perception and empathy. Why not?
Sure, let's go.
Why not? Let's do some of that. Woo. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Does insightful apply?
Yeah, why not?
In which case... Okay.
Okay. All right, so, Janina?
No, I just was saying nice that they have so many successes.
Yeah, okay, so you do actually see that when you mention that, they you see definitely something sparks in the Primogen's memory, and you almost see him noting that, and a little bit of concern, curiosity, acknowledgement as you start explaining the meaning of the words. There is a little bit of why is she doing that? I think, but it's not like he's not really showing it. You sort of see his attention drifting a little bit at that.
I don't sort of go into it in great depth. I sort of go, I think this is it, in a sort of double checking, clarifying sort of way.
Yeah, and you see Edwin also. Like, he was sort of looking to Janina before, and his eyes fixate on you for a moment, and he exchanges glances with Stanisław at that.
Okay.
And they would also ask you, was there, beyond the presence of the traitor, Was there any other signs of ties to Sabat?
I mean, we have seen her child at Sabat gatherings, so I suppose he himself would constitute as one. Can I think of anything else that would...
Not really, I think. Arek?
Yes, I've meant, yeah.
Jimovit, yeah.
Yeah. I'll say that those two are the only ties that I really noticed.
We again exchange glances. Well, I think we need to assume there is a connection there in this case. Do you both remember, was the term bishop mentioned at any point?
No, I don't think so.
Just nods his head.
Not out loud, anyway. There was definitely conversations going on that we couldn't hear.
Thank you.
Of course. And, sir, something else has cropped up. I was speaking with the Malkavian Leonard earlier. He gets a lot of insights, and they've corroborated with some insights I've gained recently. I've previously mentioned to you the darkness encroaching in and it reaching for something in the hotel. He mentioned it was a visionary it's reaching for, and...
I understand. I believe you should probably take it to the sheriff or one of his hounds.
Very well then, sir. Thank you.
But thank you. We will ask you to stay for a little bit longer.
Of course.
Can you please call your child? And he looks to Edwin. And he stands up, of course. Primogen. And he takes a little bit of a bow. If I may, I will need, if you have any contacts with Vienna, I would very much like to get in touch with them. To contact my clan. Stanisław doesn't really wait, of course. He thinks for a moment, takes from a table a piece of paper, writes something, hands it to him. Miss Archewska, you know where to find her. We'll give you the phone number. You may now go and call. Thank you, says Edwin, and bows. And he leaves. And as he does, Joachim enters and takes a bow. The Ventru Primogen looks to him. Mr. Roffa, your sire tells me you're quite skilled with recording the images, even from descriptions and memory. Yes, Primogen, of course. Stanisław looks to both you, Bea and Janina. Miss Woźniak, Miss Siwek, please describe to Mr. Roffa here the people you've seen inside that house in as much detail as you can remember. He will ask you the specific questions.
I could maybe show him.
If you can do that, that will help.
May I say to him? To Joachim.
Before you do, Stanisław says, I will now leave you to it.
Thank
I
you,
have
sir.
other matters to attend to, but you can stay in this room until you're done.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much for your report.
I bow to him.
And he
Slightly
leaves.
bowed.
I'll then turn to Joachim.
Joachim takes out from a briefcase he must have had somewhere under a chair or something, some pieces of paper. Yes, if you can show me.
Might speed
Go
things up.
for it.
Okay, and I will try to share the images with him then.
That's intelligence and subterfuge.
Okie dokie.
Difficulty 5.
Okay.
I really want to have this power in real life.
Right?
Who wouldn't?
It would be so great. I could print art from my head.
3 successes.
3 successes. So I would say for 3 successes, you can show 3 people to him directly.
In which case, the voivod, Zimovid, and the bodyguard.
All right.
Because I presume that they know what Arik looks like, or at least.
As you project the images, you see him be a little bit startled at first, but then he focuses and just closes his eyes and focuses and focuses. And then smiles. I believe that will be sufficient.
Excellent.
Anyone else of note? Anything else that might be useful?
We could also give you the rough layout of the villa, I suppose.
I think that might make sense.
There was also Arik, and there's a slight flicker of distaste as I say the name.
Like, who that might that be? He says, sort of playfully.
Yes.
Evidently picking up on the distaste.
A traitor.
Ah, I see. Acquaintance of yours as well, he says to you, Janina.
On the recent one.
I get slightly lost in thought as I think back to.
Do you think they want a picture of him?
I imagine fair few people know what he looks like, but I can describe it.
Come on.
Why not?
You don't see him draw, actually, or make any sketches of the people you showed him into his head. He takes out a piece of paper, kind of leans in one of the chairs, leans against his leg and starts drawing as you're describing. And he's asking very detailed questions about the shape of the face, showing you different options. I imagine Janina might come in to help with that as well. And he is very skillfully sketching out the face of Arik.
I'm watching with a little bit of fascination as he does this.
He's very quick about it. It's not maybe a perfect drawing, but it is pretty good. And you, Janina, definitely would remember and notice that it is definitely Arik that he manages to put together from your descriptions.
You should work in the criminology, making those suspect sketches.
Do you say that?
No, it's me. No, I was thinking.
Well, isn't that what he's doing?
Yeah.
And he sketches the house as you describe it, although there were a lot of rooms you didn't see inside the house and a lot of places you didn't see. So,
well, he can get the body horror image room.
Yes.
I think we remember that one a little too well.
And as you finish that, he closes his notes and puts it together. Well, I think I have what I need. I can finish the other ones later.
You're incredibly talented.
Well, thank you. I don't think many people out there, and he not in a vague direction of the Elysium, would agree. But it comes in handy. It's a useful skill, I suppose.
Absolutely. I say, suddenly lost in thought again.
Do you also draw for fun?
For practice, more than for fun. It's something to calm me.
I'm very good at it.
Thank you. Well, it helps when you remember well.
There's a flash of something across my face. Then I try to compose myself.
He
Right in the heart.
glances at you, kind of surprised a bit. But he doesn't comment.
Okay, Bea, do you want to get back?
I think so.
Are you going with us back to the lounge?
No, I should return to Magda. Check on her.
How is she doing?
Well, maybe she'll start doing better now that we're in a more normal place.
I hope so.
I'm sure my sire will want a word very soon. I wouldn't want to keep him waiting.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
You too, take care.
And you.
I'm sure I'll see you around.
Indeed. Head off.
You head off. Where do you head from there? You're alone in some corridor right now.
I turn to Janina. I think I need to speak to some of the sheriff's people. I'm not sure who's going to be around. I'll maybe put my head in the lounge, see who's there, and if no one's there, I'll maybe go speak to Marios.
Okay. I will follow you to the lounge because I want to speak with Nastya. We have some work to do. So.
Exciting work.
It's at least something useful, I hope. We got some books from Zygmunt, and they are in language that I don't understand. There are some medical and other books, and Nastya promised to help me with them.
Well, best of luck. And
when we are going back to the lounge, I probably ask about the darkness and about. Did she mention about it being about Zygmunt?
I didn't
No.
quite get to it, but I will elaborate when we're alone.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it seems as though Zygmunt and Nastya are the targets of that, as far as I can tell.
I think you should definitely tell Zygmunt.
I will do. I'll do so when I get a moment.
Okay. If you need me to arrange.
I would appreciate that, to be honest,
Okay.
since you have an in.
Okay. Okay, next time I'm going to see him, and I will ask you to go along so you can tell him everything.
Or if he still happens to be in the lounge, then we could maybe just catch a
we
word
go.
with him.
Okay, maybe he's finally done chatting with our lovely Toriador Primogen.
We'll see.
So as you get to the lounge, unless there's anything else you want to talk about before, so you see that Zygmunt isn't there anymore.
Damn it.
Mihai was still there.
Why the darkness doesn't want him?
Well, it only wants visionaries.
And he is joined by his child, Anna Mariam, who's sitting at his side, just looking at him with adoration.
I think I barely recognize her at this point.
Yeah, you probably don't recognize her at all. Janina, you might recognize her for being quite stunning and quite sad. Even as she looks to him with adoration. You see Antoni is there now, and he is talking to a woman Janina, you maybe think you've seen before. Bea, you don't really have a clue who that is. She has blonde hair, tied in a long braid, falling almost to the end of her back. She's dressed in quite loose trousers and a bit of a also loose blazer, looking to be a male blazer really. And she has rather round face and she is more plump, and she is talking to Antoni currently.
I'll look at Janina and sort of indicate Antoni.
Okay.
And then head in to see whether it's a conversation that I should or should not intrude on.
So you're heading there, and as you do that, Janina, you see Dominic glances towards you.
I wave at
and
him.
gives you a smile. He stands up and comes up to you.
Okay.
Janina.
And I will start walking towards him. Well, he's already there. Okay.
Yeah, he comes up to you.
Yeah,
Janina, I haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, hey.
Well, haven't spoken to you at least.
Yeah, I've seen you around here. How are you doing?
You know, I am all right. I'm mostly safe here.
It's good to
Quite
hear.
a skilled protector. But I heard you've been getting in trouble.
Usual. As usual with me.
Going on some dangerous escapades.
Just shrug. That's what I do.
I was worried about you.
I give her somewhere between an amused and tired smile.
Are you still? Well, I assume you are still there. Are you walking off to Antoni, or are you staying to be in that conversation?
I maybe sort of hover for a second and see that they're just chatting, and then I'll head over.
Right.
So I stay long enough to give the smile, and then I leave.
Okay.
It's like, have fun.
And he sort of is so. I'm sure you're hearing this a lot, but you and your friend there should be careful. I sometimes feel like you don't realize how dangerous things are out there.
Or maybe I don't care much. But I think Bea is quite careful.
Well, I did hear rumors that suggested otherwise.
Well, you mean yesterday? Well, like a few days ago?
Among other things, but primarily. You know, I have quite a good source of information on what goes on.
I can imagine. And I wink at him.
I know You might be feeling otherwise right now, but he is not a bad man. He can be very gentle and kind.
Janina mental images right now. Janina has very spicy mental images right now.
Oh my god.
My
well-
gutter.
Well, I guess Janina is horny.
I leave you alone for 5 minutes.
He doesn't seem to
I'm just
comment or pick up on it.
yeah.
Um,
I just nod, like not very convincingly.
do you want to talk somewhere away from prying ears?
Not really. I'm okay. But thank you.
I'm sorry. Have I offended you somehow?
Oh, you didn't? I'm used to hear all of this spiel almost every night.
No, I just mean it felt like we were getting along pretty well, and then you didn't come to visit even once since.
Yes, I'm sorry. There
I
was
know you took
just
it
a lot of.
badly. Happened.
I was just.
I was worried.
Yes, I'm still broken over what happened tomorrow, and I'm sorry I didn't visit. But honestly, there wasn't much time for me. I was getting into all sorts of trouble lately, and Or was very busy. But I promise
That's what worries me, the trouble. You might think you don't care, but I don't think it's entirely true. I think there are people you care about. You're not gonna help them by throwing yourself into danger without thinking, or letting them throw themselves in it.
I definitely don't want Bea going into trouble.
Glances towards Nastya. You seem to be making a new friend.
I linger my gaze for a hot minute on Nastya and then look back to Dominic and just smile. Yes, she seemed like a good bean.
She's smiling at you. I didn't have the pleasure, but I've seen her around.
Oh, I think you would get along with her. She's very soft and calm for a Bruja.
Well, that I suppose is worth witnessing.
And she clearly thinks much more than I do. Maybe
Sometimes I wonder if it's that you don't think or you choose not to think. Seems like a comfortable excuse in some circumstances.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I just worry about you, that's all.
Thank you. I appreciate your worries, and I promise I'm gonna visit you down.
There is no pressure. I just want to.
I would like to see you dance again.
I'd like to dance for you again. Please come.
Of course, I will come.
And whenever you need something or just someone to talk to.
Thank you. I will try to take that offer.
Well, I see you were heading towards somebody, and he glances to Nastya and smiles at you. I won't be stopping you.
It's all right. I'm glad that we chatted. I missed you.
Likewise.
All right.
And he sort of lets you go, and he loses himself in the music as Bruno is playing. And you see him not quite dancing, but like very gracefully swaying and moving to a very sad, painfully sad tune.
It's just like soundtrack, sad music.
Yes. Are you going towards Nastia right now?
I probably glanced towards Bea if she how much progress she made towards
All right.
Anton.
Meanwhile, let's see. Bea, you come up. As they notice you, they sort of stop. Antoni gives you a smile.
Evening.
Miss Wozniak, a pleasure. Have you met Jagoda?
I don't think so. It's lovely to meet you.
No, we haven't, but I've seen you around.
I'm terribly sorry. I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
Well, depends what you want to talk about. We have few things to discuss, so I'm afraid I won't be a very good company tonight. But if it's important, I will, of course, make time.
I think that it is important. Although I'll let you be the judge of that. I say with...
Of course, let's talk. I'm sorry. It's just stressful few nights.
I'm sorry to hear that. If there's anything I can do to help, do let me know.
He smiles. Looks to Jagoda a bit. Before he can answer, she says, I think we're on top of things as much as we can be.
Okay.
Antoni looks to you. Did you wish to speak here, or do you want to go somewhere more private? Let's go.
Thank
He
you.
says.
And I'll follow after him.
Yeah, he leads you into a room where you can talk. He sits on a chair. I'm sorry about... well, didn't mean to be quiet. So, well, I would like to be able to make time more.
You seem a very busy individual.
Comes with the job.
I can imagine. But don't worry about it. I was speaking with Leonard earlier. And his insights and some of my insights seem to have coalesced into something. The darkness that we've been seeing.
Yes, I've heard quite a lot of that over the last night. The darkness, the visionary, the worms, the smell of blood, the end of the world.
I think I have an idea as to who the visionaries are.
Sort of nods.
It earlier on in the lounge, it looked like it was Nastia and Mr. Ray that it was the darkness was reaching towards. This cloaked darkness, I've previously seen it as a cloaked figure. I think it's something relating to the Sabbat.
I understand. I will, of course, convey that to the sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
He seems very sort of composed,
Mhm.
calm. Roll perception and empathy.
Sure.
Actually.
Okay. 4 successes.
4 successes. Okay, let's see. Oh my god, he didn't feel well at all. Okay. So you do see that he is on a surface listening, almost looking a little bit like, sure, I'll convey it. Not quite dismissive, maybe, very polite, but very to the point, sort of wanting to get this out of the way. But you see that he is very tense inside, and he is like, as you mention Leonard and talk about this, you see a concern there and some tension, a little bit of anger, a little bit of frustration, and like there is something he wants to say, but he can't.
We're alone. If you want to say something, you're welcome to.
Gives you a smile. He pauses for a moment, and you see the hesitation in him.
I give him a warm smile. It's okay.
Roll your charisma and persuasion. With difficulty 8. I'm not promising he will tell you everything, though.
That's fair. Just I don't think I'm smooth talking him.
Not quite, no.
No. You never know. I have 3 successes.
3 successes.
And I just sort of sit there quietly and give him a sort of...
So he says, just looks to you. I appreciate you. There are things I can't quite speak about. We are aware of what you conveyed already.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
They say we are aware of what you conveyed already, but there are some things I can't speak of.
Okay.
And you see him sort of struggle with himself.
I'll give him a smile, then, a sort of gentle one.
And he sort of, he doesn't quite say that, but he looks to you. Sometimes you shouldn't say certain things even in private.
Fair. I do mean it. If you need anything, please let me know.
I believe I will be all right. And you hear like a tiniest hint in his voice of a warning, but not like a threat, more like concern about you.
I'll do my best. Oh.
And you see him at this moment, like something drops in his face, and he just looks really angry. And I'm sorry, I can't. I don't like any of this, but I can't. Please don't speak about this to anybody. I should have been more composed.
You're fine. It's forgotten.
I should probably get back to Jagoda. She gets quite impatient.
Well, I know all about that.
He looks once again in the doorway to you.
Take care of yourself.
And you see him like almost fighting with himself. Just be careful. Keep your eyes out for your own sake. Just be aware of what's happening. And he says it very quietly, almost whispering to you.
I look at him very intensely, sort of taking that in, and then nod.
And then, if there's danger, take care of yourself. You and Janina.
You too.
I don't expect you to do anything heroic. And
I
then
pause
he sort of
for-
looks to you. He said it more in the sense like he doesn't want you to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a sort of moment of, yeah, but I'm with Janina. that's thought rather than said.
Yeah, he just sort of he tenses up and see him compose his face and assume this completely neutral expression. Looks almost again like he wants to say something. I should really get back.
Of course. And you take care of yourself.
Nods his head and starts walking back. Very tense still, but sort of relaxing into his usual, or his sort of serious, straight, but not quite so tense demeanor.
And still slightly shaking, follow after him.
What's going through your head right now? How are you feeling?
Ooh. It feels as though there's a game going on that I'm not seeing. There's something that I'm a piece of that I'm not aware of yet. And that's a little uncomfortable, but there's also a lot of warmth towards him and a lot of respect towards him. And I wanted to say something that would make him feel better, but I didn't know what.
And you return back to the Elysium. So Janina, as you would have noticed that Bea actually left for a moment, and she's not yet back when you finish talking with me.
Then I will go towards Nastya.
She smiles at you.
Hey.
Back from your important fancy meeting.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was okay. Bea did most of the talking, and she was great.
Well, I'm sure you would have done all right as well.
Well, do you know where Zygmunt went?
I think he went to talk to the prince.
Okay.
He does that a lot.
Okay.
Did you hear some people say he is really in power in the city?
I heard some rumors like that.
I'm not sure, but then what do I know?
Yeah. So maybe later when Bea gets back, maybe we can go to our room and look through the books for a moment.
One that bore Bea to death. She seemed to zone out completely.
She will probably do her own thing, but I don't want to leave without telling her that.
Of course. Of course.
Because
and around this time you see Bea walking back in.
I wave at her.
I'll sort of smile to Antoni as part. And then head over to join Janina.
Yeah, and you see Antoni goes to join Jagoda, the woman he's been speaking to.
Is her name meaning strawberry?
Blueberry.
Oh, okay. Because in Czech it's strawberry. It's Jahoda, and it sounds almost the same.
That's delightful. Has that just changed?
Sorry, I was just curious.
That is her name, yes.
I love that.
Is this like a real name or it's like
It is a real name, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is a real name.
I would like to be named like that, so cute.
Bea.
Yeah.
So
that's all right. Come up to join.
Yeah.
So, did it went well?
Yes. Get into any trouble without me?
No, but I was asking Nastya if she could accompany me and you back to our room. Maybe we could, I don't know if you have other plans, or we want to look through the books that Zygmunt gave us, and Nastya said that he's probably talking to the prince right now.
Okay. I'll maybe stay here just in case he comes back, but...
Okay. I just didn't want to leave without telling you.
Thank you. And Nastya, ask Janina to mention what I said to her earlier when you're back at the rooms.
She looks at you kind of surprised and alarmed. All right.
So let's go.
Well, I have to now. I suppose.
That's what I'm here for, just dropping little
Bombs.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Of course.
And you leave with Nastya, going towards your room.
Yes.
You go in. She looks around. You see her look around. Close the door. So, shall I ask now? I must admit, your friend got me a bit worried.
Well, we are worried because she again saw the darkness around you and around Zygmunt. And she thinks that the darkness wants you and Zygmunt because you're
Darkness.
visionaries. I don't know. That's
I don't know
how.
if I'm that much of a visionary. I don't know. What do you mean by the darkness?
Well, I don't know. That's how Bea described it to me. Like some. How did Bea describe it to me?
I think you just said the darkness. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Oh, did you say
All right.
something more and I don't remember?
I have no recollection as to what I said, but if I did have the opportunity, I probably would have mentioned the hooded figure. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
I
You
have
mentioned the hooded figure as well. Yeah.
and something
Okay.
to do with Sabat, but it's
Yeah,
vague.
That's what I conveyed to Nastya.
Just like all my warnings, it's vague and ominous.
She listens to it and she kind of goes to almost sit on a bed and stops. Can I?
Of course. Of course.
And she
Feel
sits
like
down. I don't quite know what to make of this, to be honest.
Well, you and me both, but Bea is very good at with her omens and with her insights, and this one is also from another Malkavian, Leonard.
Yes, Sigmund. Well, he mentioned there's often quite a lot of truth in their insights that only comes clear a bit too late. But there is insights there, and that has me worried.
Do you have any connection to Sabat other than that night where you helped me escape?
What do you mean by connection?
I mean, if you encountered them before.
Perception and empathy.
What is the difficulty?
6.
I have 2 successes.
Okay. So you, for a moment, you see that she is like hesitating, like almost like she is not sure, and then looks to you, and then kind of focuses more, almost like something clicked. I wouldn't say I had any connection. I've came across them mostly as a threat. I tried to stay away as much as I could. I knew they were out there. My sire warned me about them.
Where is your sire?
Dead.
Sorry.
Many are in this place.
Yeah. So you don't know why you could be the target of Sbat?
No, I have no idea.
If they are,
I mean, why would they be interested in me?
well, you and Zygmunt, I don't know, maybe it's Basset visionary, maybe it's because of the work that he's working on, that you are helping him. Are you helping him with anything else besides the research that we are trying to do right now?
We've been discussing philosophy and various social and political ideas. I had quite a lot of interest in philosophy before. I studied it on my own. We talked about that, and I know he has lots of ideas. I don't know if I'm not sure if I can help him in anything, really. He's a man of quite incredible intellect.
That he is.
Yes, I mean, I searched for some books for him at some point, but just, went to ask around. But I mostly, well, I think I'm learning from him more than I'm helping, really. And you see her getting very confused at this point. Like, she doesn't quite
my
know
hand
what
on
to
her
make
shoulder,
of
like,
this.
It's okay, just don't panic. Nothing is happening yet, but I want you to stay vigilant and stay safe. And I hope we can warn Zygmunt as well. I hope he will not dismiss it.
I'm trying to stay in here as much as I can.
Yes, it's good, but from what Bea says, it's coming towards the hotel anyway, so hard to say how safe we are here, actually.
Well, safer than on her own in the city, that for sure.
Yeah, right now, I guess it's the best option.
I was supposed to help you with some things. Maybe we can focus
Yes,
on that.
of course.
And you see her like obviously wanting to change the subjects, and just talk about something she feels more comfortable in.
I will try to look for the papers and I don't know, books, papers, what Zygmunt gave me, and give it to her and sit next to her. And I don't know what I'm gonna like do. Maybe like write what she like translates to me, like make some notes.
And she asked her, would you just like me to translate it?
Yes.
Mm. Yes, I see it is much more up your alley. And she starts reading to you. And she starts with the papers that are in Russian. And she reads to you the work of men called Shamov and Yudin, which are the descriptions of methods and experiments with transferring blood from recently deceased people, and storing it for a longer period of time, so that it can be readily available for transfusion, and descriptions of such transfusions, some improvement of techniques. She sometimes asks you questions like, what is this? Or what does that mean? You can mostly fall. I will actually roll your intelligence and medicine. Why not? With difficulty 7.
Okay.
let's see how well you
I have
understand.
2 successes.
The successes, yes, you mostly understand. Like, it's obviously new to you. It's not something you've dealt with. But as you are writing it down, sometimes asking her to repeat something, you begin to make sense of this. And you remember Zygmunt mentioning this idea of blood banks and what possibilities it could open.
I probably tell it to Nastya, and maybe we discuss it a bit more.
Yes, it would be very convenient if we could do that.
Yeah, saved a lot of trouble.
That's the idea, right? For you to set it up.
I think that's what Zygmunt wants.
Do you think you'll be able to do it from all that? Well, there's more, and she gestures to other papers.
Well, we can try. I mean, it's better than just letting this opportunity pass by. I mean, it's at least I feel useful, and I get to spend time with you.
She smiles at that. Yes, I'd like that. Maybe I can learn something from you in the process.
I hope so. You're very smart. I'm sure you can learn a lot.
Should I continue?
Of course.
And she continues, reading to you the descriptions of these experiments, conclusions, tools that are necessary. She switches to a French paper at some point by different scientists who are working on similar methods. They're doing it a little bit differently. So there are a few options to go about this. You can deduce from it. And yeah, what's going through your head as all of this is happening? Where are your thoughts and feelings at?
Well, I'm worrying about Nastya and about Zygmunt as well, because now I don't really know what exactly. I don't think even Bea knows what her visions were, but it's concerning, and I know better than to dismiss her visions, so I worry about them. But then I also enjoy time with her and enjoy spending time doing something that could benefit both mortals and kindred as well. And I feel useful, and that makes me feel slightly more at peace, maybe only slightly.
Maybe only slightly. Would you say you are slightly hopeful?
Yes, I am a bit more hopeful than before, because even if I'm not gonna survive as a kindred, this work could, and it could help others.
And as you are, with Nastya, she becomes more comfortable around you. She kind of takes her shoes off and sits herself cross-legged more comfortably on the bed, leaning against the wall, and is reading to you and glancing to you. And she becomes much more relaxed in general around you in the process.
Feels good to spend time with someone who doesn't feel the need to be polite, and where I can also be myself.
Meanwhile, there, you were sitting at the Elysium on your
Yes.
own.
Mm-hmm. Partially people watching. Is Conrad still?
Yes, he's still around. He's sort of sitting, he's observing, he's clearly also people watching. He doesn't seem to be really interacting with the two of the Toreadors who are there at the moment, which is Primogen and his child. You might notice Anna Maria glance to him, to Conrad briefly, but then go back to looking at her sire.
I'll approach Conrad, although I maybe don't remember his name.
He gives you a smile.
Good evening.
Oh, good evening.
Do you mind if I join you?
Oh, no, of course not. As you can see, I'm not exactly busy or popular.
That's okay.
I don't really mind. I didn't mean to sound bitter.
You're fine.
I know where I remember you from right now. You used to hang out with my sister of sorts, Kasia.
Yes.
You might not remember me. I wouldn't be offended. Well, none of you really paid much attention to me at the time. She especially.
Do I still have any memories of Kasia from earlier?
Some time has passed, so it would be mostly fading now. You would recognize it as a name of the Toreador who was in your coterie at the start of the war.
Okay. I think the sort of echo of the echo of the grief from earlier is still there. Yeah. Yes. Back when we were all a little younger and a little more hopeful.
Yes, I suppose. I don't really remember what it was like, if I'm honest.
Neither do I. I say and give him a smile.
I guess that's where we understand each other.
Absolutely. How are you finding settling in?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like I should go speak to Magda. I wouldn't want to leave her alone. I'm not sure what's gonna become of me. I've been with, well, Edwin for so long now. Maybe I'm just scared of change.
And change is scary, so it's understandable. But, well, you're always welcome to come and, if Janina and I are here, you're always welcome to come and chat to us.
I might do. Well, I guess you'll come to know it. I'm not very good at conversation.
That's all right. Neither's Janina. I say with a slightly playful smile.
She seemed to be coping fine with Joachim. He's the chatty one.
I'm getting that impression. I say again with a slightly playful smile.
You'd expect a Toreador to be like that, but alas.
Well,
not if you get me.
Well, we're not all our clan stereotypes, so.
Well, no, not quite.
And sometimes it's okay to be different.
Trying to figure out how much. And he sort of glances around. I've been feeling purposeless since we got here. You know, if you live in danger for so long. But at least there's a direction.
Yes.
And now, well, Edwin is very busy and he wants Joachim by his side, and I'm not sure what will become of me.
I understand. When I joined, I basically jumped in headfirst into work and didn't look back because stopping meant having to think.
It almost would be comforting to just get a task and do it again. I've been doing a lot of that over the last years. Me and Joachim mostly.
I think for a moment and try and think as to who might be helpful to ask for tasks from.
Well, you know you are working for Clan Venture.
Mm.
And you would have a recollection that you got some task from a sheriff at some point.
Mm. We initially got tasks from the sheriff. If you maybe speak to him or some of his people, they might be able to find something for you to do.
Maybe. I think I should wait and see what Edwin says.
Of course, yes.
He saved me after all.
Of course. And yes, taking some time to stop, I'm sure, is a sensible thing for people to do.
I say with the sort of expression of, I'm not somebody who has ever done that in my life.
I'm not sure. When I stop, I feel like I'm sinking into the ground. Like I'll collapse and never stand up again.
I know what you mean. And I give him a more genuine smile.
As he says, he sort of glances around, like almost suddenly again aware of people, and then just shrugs, like he doesn't really care. With tiredness.
I give him a genuine smile.
He smiles faintly back at you.
No, I understand. And I take a moment to look around the room.
You see, Leonard is no longer there, but Rahela has come back, and you see Eliza there now, and they are not quite talking, but just holding hands, looking at each other. Bruna is still playing.
Would you like me to introduce you to some people? I promise they're quite nice.
All right then.
Okay. And
I'm going to spend my last point of willpower to be able to remember everyone's names.
All right.
I can't introduce them otherwise.
So as you spend your last point of willpower, you do, in fact, remember who everyone is and their names.
Great.
and I'll lead him over to Rahela and Elisa.
They look to you as you approach, kind of curiously.
I give them a warm smile.
Rahela smiles at you. Elisa also. But she seems much more restrained. Not necessarily like towards you, just kind of thinking about something different.
That's fair. Good evening. I was just wanting to introduce Conrad some other friendly faces.
Conrad gives a faint smile. How much of a friendly face I am, I guess, remains to be seen, but it is a pleasure. Rahela sort of smiles. You seem friendly enough.
This is Rahela.
What you're feeling is not unfriendliness, she says, and gives him a smile.
And I'll go through the process of introducing them both.
Yeah, use them both. As you introduce Elisa, he goes a little bit like, and she kind of tenses up. You arrived with Mr. Sarnowski, haven't you? She says with a smile. Indeed, but I wouldn't presume to, well, interfere in whatever is between you two, or to know what exactly that is. And she gives him a smile, a polite smile. Of course. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Can I try and read her expression?
Absolutely. Perception and empathy.
I'll remember to take the dice off this time. I have no idea which ones I've been remembering and which ones I haven't.
Yes, that's fair.
I have... Oh, does insightful apply?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. In which case I have 4 successes.
4 successes. So you read a little bit of, like, she's apprehensive of him, not quite knowing how much she can say and how she should act, and she becomes, realizing who he is, very controlled.
Okay. That's fine.
Like, you see that she's definitely generally tense and not in the best mood.
That's fair, and I'm feeling a little guilty because of that. It's like, whoops, my bad. You know, just inquire as to how they've been doing and try and start some sort of a conversation.
That does your work. I've been, well, talking to Leonard a lot. He is, well, I'm glad he's around, although I don't know how well he's adjusting. I hope he will improve. But it's been good to spend time with him and Anthony a bit more. Thank you for that.
Of course.
You and Janina.
Of course. And as usual, if there's anything we can do to help him, just let us know.
That was already help. I appreciate it. And Elisa will tell you. All right, thank you. But she doesn't really elaborate.
That's fair. I don't push her.
And there is a little bit of polite conversation going on. They ask you how you were. I'm guessing you don't go into all the details.
I'm not mentioning the Tzimisce.
Yeah.
we'll just put that out there.
Yeah.
Mention that I've been busy and things have been tense, but enjoying a night off, I guess.
And they ask Conrad a bit. They try to draw him into conversation. Rahel asks him what he does, and he does after some probing, and her clearly getting some insight that probes deeper and mentioning it outright to him. He does reveal that he is training in sculpture, but he doesn't want to show and is not ready to show any of his works to anybody. And he'd prefer not to. He's not like standoffish about it. He's more like kind of uncertain.
I think as he mentions that, I suddenly have this horrible flashback of meat, and I'm very uncomfortable, but I try and contain myself.
Yeah. And there is a little bit of that going on. Meanwhile, Janina, you're sitting there with Nastya, deep in your research. And kind of went through not all of the papers, but you feel like you get a general idea. You can see Nastya is getting a little bit of tired now. She has to focus a bit more.
What time is it?
It's not like time to go to sleep yet. There's still like a little bit of time, like 2 hours maybe or so. But it's just more from focusing and translating.
Well, maybe it's enough for tonight. Well, let's leave something for the other day.
I would enjoy that.
I think we did some good work tonight.
I think so. I don't want to impose. I'll go if.
No,
I'm sure
it's
Bea
okay.
will come back soon.
She's not. Well, when she's back, she's back. You're free to stay. We can just chat.
Are you sure it's all right?
Of course.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I try to make sense of everything that, well, Bea told me, and I try to adjust to this place, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah. This place is. Well, I mean, it took me some time to adjust, and there are a lot of things that I don't like, but there are things that I like, and a lot of kindred that I come to feel warmer towards.
I'm glad you have that.
You included.
She smiles at that. I'm glad I know you here. You're definitely a friendly face.
So what are you up to usually? Reading your books?
I'm reading. As I said, I study and discuss with the Primogen. I'm spending a lot of time with him and this woman, Yagoda. Have you met her?
I don't think so. Or maybe I never got introduced to her, but I think I've seen her around.
She's quite close with our Primogen.
Is she also a Bruja?
No, I think she's a gangrel.
Oh.
She studies with him as well, I think. She comes around to his place from time to time. They're very friendly. I don't know her that well. She's very busy. But we've talked a bit. She understands much more of the inventions and machines than I do. I observed her helping Zygmunt with building sometimes.
It's good. Another smart kindred face around.
Well, I think some of us had a lot of time to study and learn and become incredibly smart.
How did you learn all the languages?
Well, I'm not from here. I'm from Lviv, and part of my family spoke Ukrainian and Russian, and I just picked it up. And well, my parents were quite learned. They made sure I also learned French. They thought it was proper.
That's good. Becoming useful.
I find languages come very easy to me.
That's good. That's a useful skill. It might come in handy, especially now when you're kindred and you might be around.
It already has, and she gestures though.
Yeah. Maybe you can learn a new language.
Well, maybe. I'm not sure what that would be, but I would like to learn with you as you're setting up this blood bank.
Yes, it's a good project.
Let me know if I can help in any way.
Of course. I will show the notes that we have so far to Zygmunt next time when I see him.
I think he would expect you to have more than notes. Like, he's read those papers. I think he'd like you to just proceed and tell him how you will. That's what I picked up on.
Well, then we will have to
You mentioned you have contacts at the hospital?
Yes, I do. That's what I wanted to say, that if we want to put it to practice and to try, we should do it at the hospital.
Absolutely. Well, let me know. I don't really have, I don't know anyone in those places.
Of course. I'll take you out to a hospital.
How charming. And she gives you a smile. Almost like a wink.
I try to smile back.
My ship is sailing.
Sure it is. And you spend some time like that. Meanwhile, Bea, as you are in this conversation, it's not like it seems like Conrad is finding it a bit tiring to talk, and Rahela and Eliza at some point pick up on it as well. And they say that it was a pleasure to meet him, but they will leave him to it. And he kind of turns to you as you see, not great, it's conversation.
It's okay.
Um,
It's a start, and okay.
but thank you for that. It's two people who aren't strangers.
Exactly. It's a bit easier when you've got someone else to do the introductions, I find.
I appreciate it. I
Of
know I
course.
sometimes don't look like I'm not very good at any of this, if I'm honest.
That's okay.
You see Cornelia emerge from the door to where the offices are, and sort of glance to you and start walking towards you.
I'll stand up. Oh, sorry. Good evening.
Oh, good evening, Ms. Wozniak. It seems I have to take up a little bit more of your time today.
Of course, of course.
I just spoke to the Primogen. Been very pleased with your report. He told me to convey to you. I tried calling the Haven, but I see you're already here.
Yes.
Why no one answered. There will be something for you to do tomorrow. So if you could be available, we would really appreciate it.
Of course. I think we'll be staying here tonight, so I'll be here whenever needed.
Splendid. That will certainly speed things up.
Of course.
I think it might be good to have Janina with you.
Of course. I'll go speak to her after this then.
I'm not sure is around. We will speak about the details tomorrow.
Of course. Very well. Well, I'll see you tomorrow evening then.
See you. Please have a pleasant rest of the night.
Thank you. You too. And I'll turn back to Conrad. Well, I guess I've got some more work to prepare for. I hope that you have a better evening.
Well, I think I'll go look for Magdalena and Edwin.
Send her my best.
Yes. I will, of course.
And take care. And I give him a warm, genuine smile.
He gives you this faint smile. He looks a bit awkward as he does so. But it's not genuine. It's just shy.
That's okay.
Do you return to the room?
Yes, I'll head back to Janina's room.
So, Bea arrives at some point around where you finish your conversation with Nastya, smiling at each other.
I'll away with Bea, and she comes back.
Evening.
Hi. So, did you manage to catch Zygmunt?
No, he didn't come back to the room. I did speak more to Conrad, though. He seems a bit lost and a bit awkward.
Oh.
If we see him around, remind me to speak to him more.
Okay, I will.
Cornelia said that there's going to be some more work for me tomorrow evening, and that it might be helpful if you're there for it, if that's all right.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Right.
Did you have fun?
We did. And I glance at the papers,
Yeah,
the notes.
it's quite informative.
Good.
It is getting late. I should probably get going.
Of course. I
Um,
enjoyed our time.
we should do this again, and let me know if you need
Of
any
course.
help setting up.
Of course. And we should, in upcoming days, we should finish translating the notes and then we can go to the hospital.
Well, I will be around. I
Okay,
try
stay
just to
safe,
stay
okay?
here.
Yes,
I try
please.
to be here with others
Be careful.
as much as I can. You too. Don't run off on your own, please.
I won't.
She better not.
Have a pleasant rest of the night.
You too. And thank you for the warnings, Bea, even though I don't really know what to make of them.
As vague and ominous as they are.
Still, I appreciate it.
Of course.
And she leaves, and you laugh on it on your own.
I think I flop down on the bed next to Janina in a sort of,
You okay?
I am exhausted, but it seems as though the work is only just getting started, so.
Did you know the details about what we're going to do tomorrow? Well, let's hope it won't be anything dangerous.
Well, I was speaking to Antonio earlier,
Yes.
and then I speak very quietly. It seems as though people were already aware of the warnings that we had. And there was something he couldn't say. He wanted to, but he couldn't.
Yes.
I might not remember this tomorrow, but right now I'm feeling a little bit like a very small piece on a very large board, and I don't quite know who's moving the pieces.
Well, that's strange, but it would not surprise me.
No, it wouldn't surprise me either, but
But I guess we have to stay alert.
yes, he seems concerned. I appreciate his concern.
He's a good guy.
Yes. I also spoke with Cornelia earlier. We talked about my old coterie.
Yes.
I was scared that I wasn't going to remember them at all, and then she started talking about her child marching. And then a bunch of things came back to me, so that was nice. If
That's good.
hard.
Do you have good memories of them?
Well, not anymore, but I think I did. Just left with this tired grief in my chest.
Oh, I get that.
People I barely remember, so that's where I'm at.
Well, you can remember them when you really try, so they are not really forgotten.
True. What about you? How are you doing?
Quite okay. It was nice to spend some time doing something else, something useful and not dangerous.
In short supply these nights.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just usual. I'm glad that we're safe.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that Nastya's safe too. And that you warned her. Though I'm concerned about what you saw about her and Zygmunt.
I'm also concerned. But
I really hope he will take it seriously.
We'll see. Rahela and Leonard don't seem convinced, but...
Well, we have to try, and Zygmunt was always nice to me, and I would hate if something happened to him.
He seems a good sort, and I don't know what would happen if something happened to him. The political landscape alone would become incredibly messy, but that is a problem for another night.
I guess we are spending the night here.
Yes, I think so. I certainly have no intention of moving anywhere, if that's all right with you.
Of course. Stay here.
Thanks.
I guess you don't want to talk to your mother.
I probably should, but...
I think it's good you're getting a bit more independent.
I don't know. I feel awful, and I feel like I should be close to her. And I want to be close to her, I feel so bad when I'm around her, and I don't want to make her hurt.
Maybe give it a bit more time. Now you're busy, so I'm sure she understands that you spent more time with me. Maybe in a few nights. If you want, I can be around you when you go to visit her. So you felt more comfortable.
I'd appreciate that.
Of course. That's what sisters are for.
Yes.
And I just lay down on the bed and just look at the ceiling, trying to relax.
I'll go and do a whistle-stop tour of getting ready for bed.
You get ready as Janina just lies down, as she is. Do you lie down back next to her in the bed?
Mm-hmm.
You lie down there together. And Janina, what's going through your head as you're
I'm trying to
sleep, almost falling asleep?
Well, maybe for a moment I think about what's gonna happen tomorrow, what's gonna be the task, but it's not like concern, it's more like what it's gonna be this time. I'm more concerned about Nastya and Zygmunt and the darkness, and about what Bea said, that Anthony said to her, that like no already. I don't know, this is probably like what's on my mind. Maybe there's also a bit of just thinking about Nastya and the time that we spent together, that it was nice. It's more like comfortable, relaxing thoughts aside of the concerning thoughts that I have about her and everything that has to happen, that has to go with the darkness. That's probably what I think about.
And you're slowly drifting off to sleep. You are aware, just before you fall asleep, of like the door opening and Daniel staggering in and sort of falling, like almost throwing himself onto the free bed, and collapsing onto it. And you maybe want to say something, but you just drift off to sleep. And Bea, what's going through your head just before you fall asleep?
A lot of concern. I'm trying to not worry about what's happening tomorrow because I can't do anything about that yet. But I'm thinking about Felicia. I'm thinking about Antoni. I'm thinking about change and grief, and it's a mess of emotions and multiple worries. So yeah.
And you also catch a glimpse, vaguely aware of someone going into the room, and then you fall asleep. Thank you so much for playing. I think as you fall asleep with Daniel having staggered into the room
Well,
just
I'm glad
before
he's safe.
sunrise. It's a good place to end. Thank you so much to everyone who's been watching. We really
Yes, thank
appreciate you
you.
following the story along with us. We stream every 2 weeks, and we will be back on the 24th of May here on the Lamias channel at the same time. That's 6:30 p.m. British Summer Time. And we hope you will join us again to see what task Bea and Janina will get and how that will play out. So thank you once again for joining us this evening. Good night or
Good night,
day or
everyone.
whatever time zone you're in. And see you again in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.